rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the interest of time, we are going to compress the presentation in the mentioned minutes, inshallah. So we are here to remind ourselves about Islam and health issues. And first, to begin with, I believe we all know what Islam is. And it is basically the total submission to the will of Allah. The word Islam in itself means to surrender or to submit totally to something. And Islam is a total way of life. So it encompasses everything that has to do with life, health inclusive. And health, according to the World Health Organization, health is defined as a state of complete well-being, that is physical well-being, social well-being, and mental well-being, and not merely absence of disease. So most of us, when we hear health, what gets into our mind is presence and absence of disease. But that is not merely it. It is broader than that, and it has different dimensions. And those are the different dimensions of health. We have physical health, which looks at functioning of the body, and it is aimed that the body functions perfectly, both anatomically and physiologically, both its body parts and the body processes. So in physical health, that is the only aspect of health that looks at presence and absence of disease. But there are all the other aspects of health. The other one is mental health, and under mental health, we basically look at someone's ability to cope with stressors, both internal and external stressors. There are stressors that come from within our bodies, for example, disease, and then we have external stressors that come from outside. How best have you coped with those stressors? That is what determines your mental health. And then also, it also looks at your relationships with others. Psychologically, how are you able to relate with others and still maintain your equilibrium? Then we have the social aspect of health, and here we basically look at someone's relationships with their environment. How do you interact with your environment? We look at both interpersonal relationships and then relating with all the other aspects of the environment. Because environment we have the physical environment, geographical environment, so how well is someone able to interact with their environment and remain in a good state? And then in emotional health, we look at someone's feelings. Are you able to are you aware of your feelings, and are you able to handle your feelings appropriately? How do you react to situations? When you're faced with a challenge, when someone approaches you, your relationships, the different kinds of relationships, how do you manage to handle those feelings and remain in a good state? And then spiritual health, we look at our spiritual relationships. That is where deen comes in. We look at, this is where we have purpose of life. We look at the beliefs, the norms that someone has. So in Islam, the concept of health in Islam is broad, and there has been a lot of literature, Quran verses, and hadiths on that. And God has bestowed human beings, both hidden and apparent, different blessings to human beings. And among these blessings, the greatest of them is health. And yet this is something that most human beings don't appreciate. They are always looking up to other blessings, maybe the financial, maybe children, maybe other blessings from Allah, and we overlook the blessing of health, yet it's one of the greatest, because without it, we wouldn't be able to get the other blessings that we would be looking for. Because it is a healthy body, for example, that can look for money. It's a healthy body that can promptly take care of their family and loved ones. So in Islam, the concept of health was demonstrated in both the Quran and Sunnah. It says that mankind should be sound mentally, physically, and socially. So even the Quran recognizes the different aspects of health, not just physically. And Islam needs that we be extremely healthy so as to perform. We have a lot of responsibilities that we are supposed to be doing as Muslims. We have different ibadats to do. We have different kinds of things we are supposed to do, and we can only achieve when our bodies are healthy. So health is a big aspect of Islam, and these are some of the areas where health was addressed. And in chapter 4 of the Quran, Allah says, "Do not kill yourselves. Indeed, Allah is ever merciful to you." So from this we learn the importance of health, because we realize after this Allah said whoever kills someone should be killed. Killing is bad, so but when you kill someone, you're also supposed to be killed. So that shows us the importance of health, how important a human body is, how important, and it should not be joked around with. And then when someone kills a person, it is as though they have killed the entire humanity. So that shows us the gravity of health. Then Allah also says in the Quran that do not cast into ruin by your own hands. Do not destroy your bodies. Do not indulge yourselves in things, activities and practices that are potentially harmful to your bodies. And the Prophet also affirmed to that and warned us against harming ourselves. In another hadith, the Prophet says there is no disease that Allah has created except that He also has created a treatment for it. So from this we learn that when we are faced with disease, it is a responsibility for us to move out and look for treatment, to be treated from that disease to acquire better health. And the Prophet practiced medicine in different aspects that we cannot go through, and he also urged his companions to always seek cures for diseases. So we always need to be going out there. I think this challenge is mostly with men. They are the ones who, usually with poor health-seeking behaviors. When they are sick, they think going to the hospital maybe is for women. So it is a responsibility upon you as a Muslim. If you wait for an illness to get too severe and you're harmed, to an extent that wouldn't be, you may probably earn yourself some anger from Allah, because this is something that He urged us to do. And the Prophet also taught us that the body has rights and it has to be cared for. These bodies that we have are not our property. It is Allah that gave us these bodies, and it is our responsibility to take care of them. So we cannot do with them whatever we feel like doing with them. Anything that is potentially harmful to the bodies and you know it and you're still indulging in it, you're going against the teachings of Islam. So we are going to briefly look at the different aspects of health in Islam and how they are addressed. So beginning with hygiene, this is one of the most important aspects of health, because one of the leading causes of the disease burden, especially in these developing countries like Uganda is illnesses that come from poor hygiene. So in Islam, hygiene was addressed in different aspects. For example, washing hands. Islam, in this hadith, the Prophet said, I want to get only the last. The Prophet said that the blessing of food consists in ablution before it and ablution after it. And ablution in this case is washing the hands, not the whole wudu. So it is Islamic to wash your hands before eating food and also after eating food. And then also toilet hygiene. We look at washing hands before using the toilet and even after. And we also can't overlook the Islamic teaching of cleaning our private parts while in the toilets using our left hand and not the right hand that we use for eating. And this reduces the number of illnesses that are transmitted through fecal matter, which are very common in our settings. Oral hygiene is another important aspect in Islam, and the Prophet acknowledged in one hadith that if it wasn't that it would be difficult for his ummah, he was going to order us to brush our teeth at every swala when we are getting ablution. So that would mean 5 times a day. So this shows us the importance of keeping good oral hygiene. And we know bad odor in the mouth says a lot about someone. If you've ever been close to someone who has a bad smell from the mouth, you can tell it wasn't a good experience. So it will either attract people to you or draw away people from you. Then ablution, which was prescribed for us as Muslims before every prayer, and this also included ghusl, where we wash the whole body. It's also ablution is another important aspect of health, and if we are to look at a few health benefits of ablution, first of all, the obvious one, it cleans the body of dust and microbes, disease-causing microorganisms. So as we clean these different body parts, we rinse in the mouth, we rinse in the nose, we clear off these microorganisms, and therefore we better our health and reduce incidences of getting diseases. And then it also enhances blood circulation, muscular activity, and efficiency. As we get ablution, as we are washing these parts, those rubbing movements, they are in form of massage. So as we massage, we stimulate our blood vessels and therefore enhance circulation and muscle activity. Then it brings a feeling of relief, comfort, and peace. And this is usually brought about at the last part of wudu when we are washing our feet, because the feet has a lot of nerves which are connected to the rest of the body systems. So as we massage them, it creates a feeling of comfort and peace, and therefore relieving us of some stressors. That's why we are able to reach swala and be calm. Then, of course, better oral health, like I already said. Of course, someone is able to achieve these benefits from wudu if you practice it in the right way as taught by the Prophet. Most of us, as we are getting wudu, we are in a big rush or just pouring water on the body parts and moving to the next. Your mind is far away, so we can earn these benefits from wudu if we practice it the right way. Another aspect is diet, and to keep optimum health, we need to ensure that we feed our bodies appropriately. They have different nutrient needs, and these needs are required in the bodies in different proportions, and they should be given to the bodies in those right proportions. If they are exceeded, we shall be undernourished, and if they are not achieved, we shall be overnourished. the other way around. And the Prophet said in one hadith that the stomach is the home for disease and diet is the main medicine. So from this hadith we learn that we should be cautious about what we put in our stomachs. You don't eat anything that you come across. Then Islam emphasizes moderation in eating. And as a Muslim, we are not supposed to eat too much. In one hadith, in one of the Islamic teachings, we Muslims we are termed as a group that does not eat until we are too full, and we don't eat unless we are hungry. So only a small piece of food. We only eat what is enough to sustain your body to run through the daily activities that you're supposed to do. And we know that different health risks of overeating, including obesity, different chronic illnesses like diabetes, heart problems, among others. Islam puts some restrictions on the things that we eat and drink. And the general rule is that Islam has made haram anything which can potentially harm your body, directly causing death or causing an ailment to your body. So anything that has any potential harm to your body has been prohibited by Islam. And some of these things include eating flesh of the pigs and any of its components that come from it. So this was forbidden much earlier in Islam, but scientific studies later confirmed that out of all the animals, it is pork or the meat from pig that stores the biggest amount of disease-causing microorganisms, including viruses, bacteria, and different aspects. Another prohibition is on intoxicants, and these include alcohols and other drugs of abuse. And Allah forbade us from this because in the Quran he says, surely Satan seeks to abet enmity and abhorrence between you through wine and games of chance, and to bar you from the remembrance of Allah and the prayer. So will you then desist? So this shows us that these intoxicants are just acts of shaitan to divert us from the way, from the right path and doing ibadats and different aspects of our lives. And then smoking is a known catastrophe to health. So it is obviously prohibited because, like we said, the general rule, anything that is potentially harmful is prohibited, and it predisposes our bodies to different kinds of illnesses, including lung cancer, heart diseases, among others. Quarantine is another aspect. At least this is something we tried to live during the COVID times. We all witnessed it, and even before we got into such situations, Islam had already prescribed guidelines that when there is an illness that is potentially endemic and can spread to a large number of people, we have to isolate ourselves and avoid areas where it is. Either if you're in the area where the disease where the outbreak has occurred, you don't live, and if you're out of it, you don't go there. Then circumcision has always been practiced in Islam, but and it has obvious health benefits that took scientists time to realize, and it is just in the recent years that they have put emphasis on it, and it has been proven to prevent, to reduce the transmission of HIV/AIDS and other infections, including cervical cancer, which is one of the leading causes of cancer deaths among women. Then we have capping, which is hijama. I don't know if we know it. It has it's a medical tradition that has been practiced in different countries, and it has different health benefits. Because of time, I'm going to rush. Then Swala. Swala has a number of health benefits in almost all the different aspects that we looked at. It has psychological benefits because when we are in Swala, because we are calm and communicating to the Creator, we have that psychological calmness, and at the end of the day, we are relieved of certain stressors. Then it has neurological effects. It betters the functioning of our brains. Then it has cardiovascular effects and musculoskeletal effects. And these ones, because of the exercises that we all do in Swala. Those drills are serious exercises to the body as we stretch the back, sujud. Fasting also has a number of benefits in addition to the spiritual aspect of connecting us, bringing us closer to Allah. It has different aspects different benefits to our health that we may not go through. So as we conclude, we acknowledge that Islam is a way of life. It has addressed all the different aspects of life. It has given us guidelines on how to handle our life in all the different aspects. Even the obvious things that we may think are so obvious, Islam has given us guidelines on how to live with them. And then also, while Jannah is our destination, we should not neglect the physical health. Because like we have seen, it is an important part of Islam and of Iman. And of course, intention matters. So whatever you do regarding your health, trying to keep healthy, trying to live your life appropriately, if you're doing it with an intention of pleasing Allah and with an intention of bettering your body such that you can perform your activities as a Muslim, it still leads you back to Jannah. So, and also we are responsible for the wellness of other people. Some of us pay much attention to ourselves and we forget the people around us. You take good care of your bodies and your health, yet you're causing harm to the people around you. So let's mind how we live in our societies. For example, maybe someone can go to a toilet and finds it clean, or they clean it and use it when it is clean, such that they cannot catch an infection. But after using it, they leave it dirty. It means you've not minded about other people, yet it is our responsibility to also mind about the people around us. We shall stop there in the interest of time, and maybe if there are any questions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, Sister Alpha, for those wonderful